Hello, everyone. My name is Qiaosi, and I am a PhD candidate at Georgia Tech. I am delighted to present our Chi-23 paper on designing responsible AI, adaptations of UX practice to meet responsible AI challenges. Technology companies continue to invest in efforts to incorporate responsibility in their AI investments to account for and mitigate the social risks of AI technology. RAI has become established as organizational practices. Much existing research on organizational RAI efforts and practices has largely focused on ML model development process. For example, some research has looked at RAI efforts devoted to understanding and improving ML models, including data annotation practices, model evaluations, data and model documentations, as well as developer-facing tools to examine the models post hoc. Other research has highlighted practitioners who are undertaking RAI work, focusing mostly on the work practices of data scientists and ML engineers in the model development process. However, RAI efforts in industry continue after models leave the research lab. And just as there were many practitioners involved in RAI efforts during ML model development, many practitioners are also involved in applying ML models to AI-driven products during early-stage design and development process. Among this set of practitioners applying ML models, many focus on user-facing and user-centered aspects of technology. Yet, the specific practices of such user-centered practitioners involved in RAI have yet to be identified or formalized, and distilling them offers a critical view into how they're adapting to meet present-day challenges of RAI. To understand how UX practitioners are adapting to meet present-day challenges in RAI, we explore an emerging set of RAI practices carried out by UX practitioners when applying large models during early stages and refinement of AI application design. We sought to answer two research questions. First, how do UX practitioners currently incorporate and examine RAI considerations during early stages and refinement of AI application design given their organizational context? And second, what challenges do UX practitioners encounter in their current RAI practices during early stages and refinement of AI application design given their organizational context? To understand practices at the intersection of user experience and RAI, we interviewed 15 UX practitioners and 8 RAI domain experts. Our study took place at a US site of a large technology company that has a large AI function. These two sets of practitioners were actively involved in addressing RAI concerns, both early in design and refinement of new AI-based prototypes, demos, and product features. We aim to identify and understand the emerging RAI work carried out by UX practitioners in their design processes by investigating these practices in light of the RAI work conducted by RAI experts in their formal job capacity. In our interviews, we used PromptMaker, a large language model prototyping tool, as a probe to understand how emerging AI design and prototyping tools were shaping UX practitioners' RAI practices. PromptMaker provides a web-based interface to LLMs, enabling users to interactively write and test LLM prompts. This is an example of using few-shot prompts to translate English into French. UX practitioners can then embed this within a prototype to test out a translation feature. During the AI design and prototyping process, PromptMaker enables practitioners to rapidly prototype and test new AI features in hours or days without requiring significant machine learning experience. Through reflexive thematic analysis on our interview data, we identified 3 key emerging practices UX practitioners carried out to meet evolving RAI needs: building and reinforcing an RAI lens, responsible prototyping, and responsible evaluation of AI applications. We want to first highlight an overarching practice that influenced our subsequent findings: building and reinforcing an RAI lens. An RAI lens positions RAI as a reflexive, ongoing, and holistic perspective that influences practices and decisions throughout design and development of AI applications. In our study, we found both UX practitioners and RAI experts carried out similar practices to build and reinforce this RAI lens. One practice they both carried out was self-education and sensitization to RAI issues. For RAI experts, a large part of their job included sensitizing teams across the company to RAI concerns by offering RAI resources and support, such as RAI frameworks and guidelines, RAI reviews, office hours, and consultations. For UX practitioners, even though they didn't have focused RAI knowledge, they consider RAI as an emerging yet crucial piece of the UX of AI projects and products. Hence, they explicitly and actively sought out RAI resources to better understand the issues and integrate them into their UX practices. One specific practice that UX practitioners carried out to further reinforce their RAI perspective during the design process was by implementing responsibility lifts. Responsibility lifts is a series of activities at the beginning of the design process to reinforce RAI as a lens to inspect and filter design ideas. Some examples of responsibility lifts include calling out RAI issues in a design brief or invite speakers to talk about RAI at the beginning of a design sprint. For example, U4 said about a design sprint that he participated in. RAI was called out in the brief of the sprint as a whole to think about responsibility for any ideas that we come up with. And what are the responsibility implications of those? The second RAI practice we identified was responsible prototyping. In this practice, RAI experts and UX practitioners leverage their different domain knowledge, expertise, and skills to surface and anticipate harms when working with machine learning models. During the interviews, RAI experts said they were often invited by teams to explicitly and intentionally look for RAI issues through question asking and adversarial testing. In contrast, while UX practitioners were not trained or required to surface and anticipate potential AI harms in their day-to-day work, we found that UX practitioners were committed to surface and anticipate harms from their unique human-focused perspective, skills, methods, and tools in early-stage AI design. For example, UX practitioners talked about their concern of how users would perceive AI applications driven by ML models that were often unpredictable. To mitigate the consequences of user mental models of AI, UX practitioners leveraged different design strategies and techniques in their design process. For example, U7 told us in her interview that they once discovered the user's expectations of an LLM-based chatbot didn't match the actual language interaction, and they decided to change the appearance of the UI to accurately communicate what this application is. U7 said, so we had to reconfigure how we show these prototypes visually, and also how we communicate about what these prototypes are. And that high-fidelity UI was vital to change up. So the team quickly responded and changed the way that it looked. And they changed it from looking like a product to looking more like terminal, like a very simple, old-school, lo-fi terminal chatbot. In our study, both RAI experts and UX practitioners aspire to involve users and other stakeholders in the process of RAI evaluation. While RAI experts largely describe their aspirations of long-term engagement with users throughout the AI product lifecycle, UX practitioners are carrying out this aspiration through user testing and evaluations. UX practitioners actively involve prospective users of future AI applications in the design process to surface and assess RAI issues. To address the uncertainty of potential harmful model outputs, project teams would generate a wide range of constraint-based input and output suppression techniques that often rely on classifiers and filters. For example, U1 said before they conduct user evaluation and testings, they would put in place a bunch of filters to make sure that it's on topic, that it's not offensive, that it doesn't use a set of words or phrases that they've specifically banned. However, as practitioners pointed out in their interviews, it was not always possible to prevent harmful model outputs completely, and hence practitioners pointed out the importance of exploring other approaches. U14 talked about their experience of doing user testing of an LLM-based applications at the end of a short design sprint. I think we had 2.5 days until we were actually testing in front of external prospective users. So it was so fast and rapid, which is one of the pros about it. But if something did go wrong, and if the model did come up with bad suggestions, or if we did have an answer that went off the rails, we couldn't just shut it down. All we could do was just make the screen go blank, and hopefully they didn't see it in that second. Based on these 3 RAI practices we identified in UX practitioners' work, we highlight the hidden work RAI practitioners are conducting to meet RAI challenges. We then discuss challenges and opportunities in designing tools and methods to support responsible design with large language models. And finally, we talk about the challenges and future research questions for the Kai community to explore in terms of reconfiguring users' role in RAI design and evaluation. Please check out our paper for more details. Thank you so much for listening. We're happy to discuss and answer any questions that you may have.